The glow of the vacancy sign, the hum of the ice machine, and the endless, inky blackness of a deserted highway. For a year, this was my world. I worked the night shift at a remote motel, and let me tell you, it's a universe all its own. You might think it's just about handing out keys and pointing people to their rooms, but it's so much more. It's a front-row seat to the hidden side of humanity, the stories that unfold when the rest of the world is asleep. When I first took the job, I was a student, desperate for money and a quiet place to study. I figured, how hard can it be? The first few weeks were an adjustment, to say the least. My sleep schedule was a disaster. I lived on lukewarm coffee and the stale pastries left over from the morning's continental breakfast. The silence was the strangest part. It wasn't a peaceful quiet. It was a heavy, watchful silence, punctuated by the occasional rumble of a passing truck or the distant howl of a coyote. You start to hear things, you know? The creak of a floorboard upstairs, the whisper of the wind against the glass. Your imagination really goes into overdrive. But then, the people started to arrive. And that's when the real show began. The night shift attracts a certain kind of traveler. You get the long-haul truckers, their faces etched with the lines of 1,000 highways, just looking for a few hours of shut-eye before hitting the road again. They were usually my favorite guests. They were polite, no nonsense, and always had a story to tell if you were willing to listen. I learned more about the country's supply chain and the best roadside diners from them than I ever could from a book. Then you have the families. They'd tumble out of their minivans around midnight, kids either wired with exhaustion or fast asleep in their parents' arms. You could see the sheer relief on the parents' faces when I handed them a key. For them, the motel wasn't just a room. It was a sanctuary, a temporary pause button on a long, stressful journey. I always tried to give them rooms at the quiet end of the hall, maybe slip them an extra juice box for the kids. A little bit of kindness goes a long way at that hour. Of course, it wasn't all road-weary saints. The night shift is also a magnet for the, let's call them, characters. I had a guy check in once, dressed head to toe in a sparkling Elvis jumpsuit. He didn't say a word, just handed me a wad of cash, took his key, and I didn't see him again until he checked out the next morning, still in the jumpsuit. I never did find out his story. Was he heading to Vegas? Fleeing from a themed wedding? The motel holds its secrets. One night, a blizzard hit. The snow was coming down so thick you couldn't see 5 feet in front of you. The highway patrol shut down the interstate, and suddenly, my quiet little motel was the only port in the storm. The lobby filled up with stranded travelers, a busload of a college basketball team, a newlywed couple whose honeymoon was put on hold, an elderly woman traveling with her pet parrot. We ran out of rooms in an hour. It should have been chaos, but something amazing happened. People started talking to each other. The basketball players helped the elderly woman with her bags. The newlyweds shared their wedding cake with everyone in the lobby. We brewed pot after pot of coffee, and people shared stories, laughed, and played card games with decks I found in a dusty drawer. For one night, a random assortment of strangers became a small, impromptu community, huddled together against the storm. It was a powerful reminder that in tough times, most people are fundamentally good. The scariest night, though, wasn't because of a storm. It was a perfectly clear, moonless night. Around 3 a.m., the phone rang. It was a guest from room 207. A woman, her voice trembling, said she heard someone trying to open her door. My heart hammered in my chest. Policy was clear. Lock the front door, stay at the desk, and call the police. The nearest sheriff's deputy was 20 minutes away. It felt like an eternity. I watched the security monitor, my eyes glued to the grainy black and white footage of the second-floor hallway. And I saw him. A shadowy figure, jiggling the handle of room 207. I was on the phone with the dispatcher, whispering updates, my own hands shaking. He's moving down the hall. He's trying another door. Just as the man reached the end of the hallway, The red and blue lights of the patrol car flashed across the parking lot. He saw them, bolted down the stairs, and disappeared into the darkness. The police never caught him. The woman in 207 was shaken but safe. That night taught me about a different kind of silence, the one that comes after the adrenaline fades, leaving you with a profound sense of vulnerability. But for every scary moment, there were a dozen moments of quiet beauty. I saw more sunrises in that year than I have in my entire life combined. There's a magical moment just before dawn, when the sky shifts from inky black to deep indigo, then to soft shades of pink and orange. The first birds start to sing, and the world slowly, gently wakes up. It felt like I was being let in on a secret, a daily spectacle that most people sleep right through. I'd stand outside the lobby with my coffee, just watching the day begin, feeling a sense of peace that's hard to describe. I remember a young couple who checked in late one night. They were clearly running on fumes, bickering about who missed the exit. They looked miserable. The next morning, as I was finishing my shift, I saw them sitting on the bench outside their room, holding hands, watching that same sunrise. The stress from the night before had melted away, replaced by a quiet sense of wonder. The motel had worked its magic. It had given them a place to rest, reset, and find each other again. Working the night shift at a motel changed my perspective on things. It taught me patience, empathy, and how to make a decent pot of coffee at 4 a.m. It showed me that stories are everywhere, even in the most mundane of places. Everyone who walks through that door has a destination, a reason for being on the road. They have hopes, fears, and a life that extends far beyond the four walls of their temporary room. And for a few hours, I got to be a small, quiet part of their journey. I eventually graduated and moved on to a normal 9-to-5 job. Sometimes, when I am driving down a highway late at night and see the lonely glow of a motel sign, I feel a strange sense of nostalgia. I think about the person behind the counter, watching the security cameras, waiting for the next traveler to pull in from the darkness. And I send them a little silent nod of solidarity. It's a strange, lonely, and sometimes wonderful club to be a part of. So if you ever find yourself checking into a motel in the middle of the night, maybe share a smile with the person at the desk. You never know what kind of night they're having or what stories they could tell. Thanks so much for watching and letting me share a little slice of my past with you. If you've ever worked a night shift or have a crazy motel story of your own, I would absolutely love to read it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more stories. It really helps the channel out. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.